All right. So this week we're ending our series that we've been working on, the eight limb path of yoga. And we have the final three to go over. The sixth one is Dharana. Dharana means concentration or how we focus the mind. So when we're doing our physical poses, our meditation is on the anatomy of the body and how we are articulating the muscles and the bone structure and working with it energetically as well. Certain poses we have to have drishti being set. Sometimes the drishti is outside of ourselves looking at an object or just a place in front of us that's not moving. And sometimes that drishti is focused here at the third eye or even down centered in the heart. We also put our concentration on mantras, a mantra, a word or a phrase that we repeat. Same with affirmations, repeating that affirmation over in your mind once I state it, so that you're bringing that quality to the pose or your meditation. It could be focusing on the flame of a candle or a crystal or a deity or a photograph. You could even meditate looking at a photograph of a person and their positive qualities or their positive traits or something that you admire from them. You could stare at a flower. So there's lots of things that we could work with as far as the drishti, the gaze is concerned. But a focused eye helps to focus the mind, which is why drishti falls under this category of dharana. Now, the stage after that, that dharana naturally kind of opens the door to is meditation. Dharana you could look at as being the technique, the getting there. The meditation is the arrival. You're in that space between thoughts. You're in that embodied love that you hold in your heart. You're in this place where you're not feeling stressed or worried or pulled in one direction or another, or even going into likes or dislikes, any type of duality. You've lost your meditation, because meditation is all about the state of union and absorption. So the sustained focus and concentration of dharana leads to dhyana. And then once you're in meditation, you can get a taste or a glimpse of samadhi. And samadhi is the final step on the eight limb path of yoga. Now, in samadhi, they even break it up like meditation, the getting there and the being there. In samadhi, you have a higher and a lower aspect of samadhi. And within those layers, there's also gross and subtle. So it's when, think about, I like to think of it this way. When you pour a soda into a glass, and then all the carbonation, all the fizz starts coming up to the top. Well, that's like what happens when we sit to meditate. And then we start to use the technique. And just like it's sitting there on the counter, the technique, eventually all of that fizz at the top kind of lowers down, but then you still have those bubbles kind of bubbling up to the surface on occasion. And those are just the random thoughts, sensations, or feelings that may pop up. But if we don't give life to it, if we don't give more attention and energy towards whatever that may be, then it's going to dissolve. And then eventually, boop, another thought might come up. And then it settles. And then boop, and then another one. So basically it gets slower and slower and slower. And that's where I'm talking about between the gross and the subtle. So samadhi is the ultimate state of union. It is the perfect, profound peace that passeth all understanding. It is the place of wholeness, connectivity, and contentment. It's the, but there's no words to it. It's hard to describe it because it's not like it's joyous. It's not like it's celebratory. It's not like it's, it's hard to put into words, but you'll know it when you experience it. So what we're going to be doing today, I decided, since, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi are the final stages of the eight limb path, and that's really about meditation. I thought what we would do is a few kriyas, some breath work, and then sit. kriyas, sit, breath work, sit, a little movement, sit. And then, I don't know, depending on if we have time in Blissful and Gentle, I'm planning on doing Yoga Nidra. I don't know if we'll get to it in this class, but we'll see. I am planning on using a bolster. If you don't have a bolster, grab a pillow or 2 blankets that you can fold in half to create a bolster. So we'll start sitting. And as we start sitting, I want you to roll the shoulders back. And we're going to do some breath work. And the first one's going to be by Sri Sri Ravi Shankar. I love this breath. It's hands to a fist. And we inhale, stretch the arms up and the fingers wide. And then as we exhale, we pump the hands back down. And it goes pretty quick. Short and sharp inhale and exhale through the nose. So let's begin. 3, 2, and 1. Relax the hands, open on your lap. Feel that spark, that charge of life force kind of running rampantly in through the shoulders, maybe starting to course its way down through the arms and fingertips. Round 2 when you're ready. Short, sharp, forced inhale and exhale through the nose. It should be audible to hear. Three, 2, and 1. Relax. Let your shoulders descend away from your earlobes. You may start to feel like you're sitting a little taller. Extending the limbs helps to extend the vertebrae. You may notice you're really clearing out your nose and your nasal passages. And that's something this breath is good for, but it's also good for energization and revitalization. One more round when you're ready. So think about drawing so much vitality into your mind and body. Three, 2, and 1, and relax. Your arm bones may start to feel a little heavy, but your mind may be more clear. Sit in the aftermath of this pranayamic technique. Sitting and breathing, gazing in and up to your mind's eye, setting your concentrated gaze towards the midpoint of your brow. So I want you to notice through today's practice how sometimes breath work is all we need. Sometimes a little movement is all we need. And sometimes very specific movement can aid us if we're wanting to gear ourselves towards meditation. All right, so we've just done a little breath work. Let's bring the hands down kind of beside the hips. This is one of the kriyas, and it looks like this. It's the same type of breath work, actually. Short, sharp, inhale, exhale through the nose. When the arms are coming up, the palms face each other. And when they come down, the hands flip out. They may or may not touch the floor depending on the height of your cushion. But let's begin. And if it's too much to rotate the hands, just keep it the same, because I was starting to feel like it was too much for this early part of the day. So I'm just lifting them up and down at this point. 3, 2, and 1. Relax. Your palms open on your lap. Close the eyes. Concentrate your gaze towards the third eye. And allow the rest of your concentration to follow the breath in and out. Even though breath work is stage 4 and concentration is stage 6, you can see how returning to the breath can aid with your focus. Affirming now, and then putting your concentration upon the words and maybe repeating it to yourself. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. And then I'd like you to open the eyes. And we're going to swap how we've crossed the legs. So once you swap the crossing of the legs, we're going to bring the arms up into the goalpost, goddess, wing, or cactus arms, whatever you want to call it. And we're zipping up through the midriff that props up the heart. And then on the inhale, we're going to twist left and exhale right. And because we're wanting this to be more of a kriya, we move a little bit faster, which means the breath should flow faster. You can make it audible to hear in and out through the nose, because the Ujjayi breath, constricting the throat and making it audible that way, that's really meant to be a slower, more controlled breath. So this would work better with that sharp, short inhale and exhale. Notice how the arms start to get tired. So try to keep them elevated, about shoulder height if possible. 3, 2, and 1. Come to center. Relax the hands open on the lap. Notice the difference, right? Because we've been pausing to sit, but notice the difference after this twist. You may actually feel the energy swirling upward towards the brain. You may feel it tingling in the forefront of the brain. Some people get a little lightheaded because the twist naturally draws the energy up. It ascends it higher in the body. So just absorb it as you observe it. Even just doing a twisting kriya before you sit to meditate can be extremely helpful. All right, we're gonna crack the eyelids open. We're gonna send that bolster to the side a moment so you can sit lower. Because in this kriya, we're circling around and around. But we're gonna do it a couple different ways. We're gonna start isolating the ribs, and then we'll dip down over the lap. So let's start with hands placed down to the lap or knees. And then as you inhale, push the chest forward and out. And then as you exhale, start to swirl it around. Inhale, the chest pulls forward. And as you exhale, you pull the belly in. So again, we're trying to isolate just the upper abdominals, the chest, the ribs. And then we'll circle the other way. Try not to think about it too heavily. I notice when I'm teaching this in a, classroom environment, I can tell the people that are thinking about it a lot because they're getting frustrated and they're trying to figure it out. And it's like, if you just stop thinking and just start to move your body in this area, it becomes so much smoother. All right. Now that we've taken it both directions, we're going to take it low over the lap. So as you inhale, lift up. As you exhale, turn towards your left thigh. Sweep down and over to the right and inhale to the top. And you're just going to circle around and around. And I would suggest closing the eyes. That's how we can maintain some sensory control, where we can be less distracted, especially since we're in our homes. Notice any stiffness or rigidity. That's what we're trying to break through. All right, let's pause at the top. Flip your hands open. And we were only really swirling largely in one direction. So notice how your body may want to lean that direction. And draw and magnetize it in and up to the third eye. Visualizing a column of light shooting upward through the astral spine. Even extending beyond that, down through the ground from the tailbone region and up towards the cosmos through the crown of your head. As if there were a spotlight from the heavens pouring directly down and through you. And then crack your eyelids open. Swap the crossing of the feet again. Since we were diving over the lap, we need to swap the feet to make it a little bit more balanced. So as you inhale, lift the chest, slightly twist towards your right thigh, sweep down and over to the left, and inhale to the top. And you're just gonna wind yourself around and around, eventually closing the eyes. And if your knees are feeling sensitive today, please don't feel like you have to pour your weight down through your hands onto the knees. So they can be a light, effortless, or feathery type touch. You can go at any pace, by the way, slow, moderate, or fast. This is good for the kidneys, it's good for the adrenals, helping with mental alertness. And come back to the top. Flip your hands open. Hopefully feeling a little bit more balanced, that you're not tempted to lean to one side like you were before. Now imagine instead of just the spotlight coming down and through you, imagine that light kind of explodes and is shining and emitting not only throughout the body, but radiating upward and outward in every direction through every pore of your skin. Continue to gaze towards the mind's eye and visualize a lot of light. And then notice the longer you sit here without the cushion, how it starts to get a little sensitive in the low back or sensitive in the hips or growing. And you may want to start to collapse, which is why it's so important to have that if you're going to sit for a long duration. Now let's transfer to hands and knees. When you transfer to hands and knees, I want your knees to be located up underneath your hips or slightly back behind. Your hands are located up underneath your shoulders with your heart shining forward. We're going to build some upper body strength. We're going to do a half chaturanga. So half chaturanga, we shift the shoulders just past the wrist. We bend the elbows into the side body. We drop and hover, and then we inhale, push back up. Exhale, lean forward and hover. Inhale, press up. Exhale, sink low and hover. Not too low though. Gets a little more challenging to defy gravity. 2 more. All right, let's give the arms a momentary break because we're going to build up to plank. Relax back in child's pose. Resting and residing on the third eye. So these are some of my suggestions. If you're needing to meditate and you're highly stressed, definitely doing a yoga practice to dispel some of that stress is helpful. However, there are days and times where we don't have a half hour or an hour to do yoga before we sit to meditate, to do the deeper work. So a forward fold like child's or uttanasana or any of the ones that you know from the practice are going to help to calm the mind and nervous system. And so maybe that's all you need is a couple forward folds, some deep breaths in order to be able to sit. The kriyas that we were previously doing is a way to make the body like really charged and active in a fairly quick manner to get the energy heightened so we have the energy to work with for meditation. And then in a little bit in the practice, I'll show you a couple other recipes if you have only a short time to prepare the body to sit. So just notice already after being in child's pose, how it's affected your mind and nervous system. Because what you're learning about yourself and how these poses can affect you will really cater to the knowledge that you need, to the poses or the breath work that you need at any given day or time to sit and meditate. Now stretch the arms out in front of you, lifting the elbows upward. Rock up to hands and knees, and we're going to curl the toes and come to plank. All right, once you elevate your thighs, drive the crown of the head forward and your heels back. And then on the exhalation, we're pressing back to downward facing dog. All right, we're going to go slow with this. Look at your feet. My feet were way too wide there. You want about 4 inches in between the big toes or 2 fists in between the feet. Inhale, come forward, plank. Exhaling, Adho Mukha Svanasana. 3 more. Inhale, come forward, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Breathe in and out of these 2 postures. So here, you're not only building some strength in the muscles and bones, but you're also aiding yourself with an inversion, right? So forward fold / inversion, also calming for the mind and nervous system. So pause here. Continue to root down through the hands and fingers, through the balls of the feet and the toes. Let the energy rise up into your seat. Let your head bow between the arms. Taking some deep breaths in and out. Affirming calmness is radiating within and without. Let's travel the feet forward towards the top of the mat. Come up halfway upon arrival. Ardha Uttanasana. Keep your legs structured as you fold to Uttanasana. Few more. Inhale, sliding the hands up the shins. Reaching out through the vertebrae, and then exhale, folding back into self. Couple more. Inhale, create extension through your spine, and notice how that fires up the hamstrings. And then exhale, dive back in. Last one. Inhale, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, forward fold. Relax your arms down, your hands down, your head down. Nodding your head one way or another. Opening the back side of your knees. Rolling your thighs in and back. Much longer, slower exhalations here. Let that longer, deeper exhalation provide some grounding. And then on your next inhalation, root down to soar up. And you're going to arch it back. Exhale, hands together as you humbly bow to Uttanasana. We're going to do that a couple times. Inhale, you're coming all the way up. Take the back bend at the top. And exhale, dive back down. Last one. Inhale, we're stepping back to plank. And then from plank, we're going to drop to knees. Tabletop. All right, so what we're going to do here, I want you to find your bolster again. When you find your bolster, set it in behind you, in between your ankles, and sit on it. And if you need 1 or 2 blocks, if that's better for your knees, then you can do that instead. So we're lining up on the shins, the top portions of the feet, and the bolster in the block should block you from turning the toes towards the tailbone, because you actually want your toes to point straight back. Okay, and then bring your hands to Dhyana hand mudra, the mudra for being meditative and contemplative. One palm over the other, thumbs touching. Close your eyes. Gaze in and up to your mind's eye. Maybe you're still visualizing all the light you infused yourself with. Soften the face, the other sensory organs, even your jaw. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I get to know myself. So I want you to observe, is it easier to drop in now after a little strength building, after a little bit of a flow practice? Or was it a little easier after the kriyas? Was it a little easier after the breath work? This is what we're studying. Remember, Swadhyaya is about self-inquiry, self-reflection, self-study. And while we're here on the mat, when we're really tuning in, then we get to see what technique works best for us at this time. And usually we go through seasons. There's a season where you may need your yoga practice before your meditation. You may go through a season where all you need is breath work. You may go through a season where you may just need a kriya. So it can alter over time. This is what we're paying attention to. What personally does it for us? Many techniques, many avenues. So stay in the question. All right, open your eyes. So I remember going through teacher training when we had to teach meditation. They said, teach a couple poses to prepare them for meditation. And so what I ended up doing for mine was doing a back bend and doing a twist. Because back bends help to open the heart, they line our posture up better, and they bring the energy up higher. And the twist work all 7 chakras and bring the energy up more to the brain. So we're going to do a couple of back bends and a twist for you to test the waters there. You can keep your bolster or block between your feet. Don't worry about that. When you come forward to tabletop position, instead of sagging the belly, lift the belly so you're in a strong tabletop to start with. And then we're going to begin our cat-cows. So as you inhale, we move into cow. As we exhale, we turn the tailbone and the crown down to create the cat stretch. Inhaling to cow. Exhale to cat. Continue. One more. Inhale, table. We're going to move towards thread the needle. It's one of my favorite twists, actually. Pick up your left hand, sweep it out and up. And as you exhale, thread and loop it under the right arm. But we're not going to stay yet, okay? Inhale, push down through the right hand. Circle open. Exhale, thread it back. One more. Inhale. And exhale. Now stay down towards your left ear. Create this pose in an active way by drawing the belly in, by pushing lightly through the right hand and rolling towards the left scapula. So since we're working on the left side of the back, remember the heart is slightly to the left. It's not right in the center of the chest. So think about breathing into the back door of your heart here. So what I love about this twist is it actually is a twist / inversion. The inversion bringing the calming agent to the mind, and the twist bringing the energy to the mind. Press through the right hands, come back to table. All right, we're going back to cat-cows. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cats. Continue. Last set. Inhale, table. And then sweep the right arm up. Exhale, thread and loop it under the left arm. But remember, we do this twice more. Inhale. I'm so much more restrictive. I'm noticing when I'm coming up to take the arm skyward than I was before the pandemic. Come down to the right ear. Push into that left hand. Draw in through the abdomen. And breathe. Inhale, come up. Table. Exhale, sit back. That's why we kept this blocker bolster there. And come back up. Sitting with that mudra, with your hands, one palm resting over the other, thumbs touching. Close the eyes. So for me personally, this sequence was powerful. So check in, see if it's easier to sit in that space between thoughts. Keep your gaze set at the third eye. Channel your breath. Dropping in. Becoming more aware of yourself. In stillness, I touch my inner strength. In stillness, I get to know, I get to observe, and be absorbed in myself. So we're getting micro-dosed with meditation intermittently through this practice. I'm going to show you now what I did in teacher training back in 2003. We're going to rock up into standing Vajrasana. So I taught camel as the back bend, which I would never do now unless you've been warmed up. We're just going to do a half camel. We're not going to go full throttle. So the left hand is going to be at the hip. We're going to shift the thighs and hips forward, reach the right arm skyward, and then start to lean back. Now you can take this deeper if you want. This is good for me today. Inhale, drive up. Swap the arms, right hand to the waist, left arm reaches upward. Hips shift forward, arch back, breathe. Ooh, Strasana camel. Inhale, drive up. Exhale, we'll come down to a seat. All right, so we don't need that bolster for this. We're going to do Ardha Matsyendrasana. So I don't know if you can see, my left knee is pointed straight ahead, and the right foot can be to the inside or to the outside of that knee. Take your hands and interlace around it. Extend your vertebrae. Hug that knee now in with the left arm. Swirl to your right, stacking the fingertips behind your back. Spin deeper from the belly. Roll the right shoulder back. Turning from your neck. Eyes open or closed. Exhale, unwind. And we'll swap that position. So now the right knee will lay down and face to the front. The left foot can be to the in or outside of the knee. If you lift that left seat off the floor, be sure to ground it back down. And then when you're ready, take the rotation. And affirming mentally as you hold, I radiate my love, my goodwill, and my compassion to soul friends everywhere. I radiate my love, my goodwill, and my compassion to soul friends everywhere. And you exhale and unwind. So I meant to do this on the other side and I forgot. Grab the right heel up underneath and pull it over towards the right hip, or just heel toe that foot over so that top knee kind of lays down. So another great preparation to sit is obviously hip work. I tend to focus more on bringing an open heart and a twist in, whether it's through kriyas or through a flow. But hip work is nice as well. So when you're ready, just start to fold down over your lap. We're starting our cool down anyway, so this lines up perfectly. So again, hip stretch, but it's also a forward fold. It brings in that calming agent for the mind and nervous system. And slowly come up. All right, so when you come up, we need to get to that other side. So you might be able to lean back into your hands and just do a little swapperoo there. That doesn't work for everyone, and I realize that. So just try to get in this Gomukhasana legs, right leg draped over the left. The heels are kind of closing in to the outer thighs. We lift up energetically, and then we find our edge. And that edge may change while you're holding it, which is why we pay attention, which is why we stay in the now, which is why we do the self-study. Inhale, let's slowly back up. Now, we're going to take the bolster back behind us. And if you don't want to back bend, you can put it under your knees. So just know you have choices. I just want you to create a restorative position for your body so that you can rest and close your eyes. Begin by taking a few deep breaths. Relaxing the feet and all 10 toes. Bringing that relaxation up through each leg. At first, just rolling from the calves and shins to the knees. And then eventually rolling up from the knees to the hips. Let go of any gripping or holding in your pelvic floor or buttocks. And then focus on the upper body. Try to let go of any gripping or holding in your abdomen or back. Feel the breath undulating up and down through these areas. Let your heart feel expansive. Let your lungs expand and contract. Softening your neck, your throat, your jaw. Relaxing all the sensory organs except gazing in and up to your mind's eye. Conscious breath work. You're not quite letting the breath go today. You're staying with your breath. Now lift your knees. Fan the knees apart, soles of the feet joined together. Let's take 3 cleansing breaths. In through the nose, out audibly through the mouth. 2 more. Final one. Gently lift one knee, roll over to the other side. We're going to press our way up, and we're going to take a formal seat. So once we take a formal seat, remember you can sit any way that's the most comfortable for you. So if you wanted to sit on your shins again with the bolster behind you underneath your sits bones, if you prefer sitting on top or the edge of the bolster with your knees cast down, and if you want to sit on furniture, that's okay too. We're gonna have the palms face down on the lap, and we'll close the eyes. We're going to direct the inner gaze towards the third eye as if you were looking towards the horizon. I'm going to let you choose your technique. Remember, the technique is the getting there. Although you've been so prepared up to this point, you may not need much of a technique. Maybe just sitting upright and observing the breath is enough. If your mind got distracted or if there's something still kind of haunting you mentally, then use a mantra. Use a mantra, a sound, a saying, a word, a phrase, something positive, something uplifting. It could even be an affirmation, and just repeat it over and over in your mind to replace those other thoughts. If you're more of a visual person, you can visualize the column of light, or you emitting the light from within. But choose one. And let's meditate together. Om. 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 Well, maybe you got a taste or a glimpse of Samadhi, that place that is hard to describe. Even if you just kind of leaned into it a little bit, there's so much benefit to be gained from being in that place. If you want to sit longer, continue to sit. Otherwise, we'll close out our practice. Bring your hands to prayer position at your heart. May we have gratitude for these tools and techniques that have been carried on through the ages. And may we use them to our benefit. And may we use them to benefit the collective. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Namaste.